Well, New Jersey is known for its most famous inventor, the great Thomas Edison. But what about the number of innovators whose stories have never been told or were suppressed, like those of many black inventors? North Jersey resident and innovator himself, James Howard, is on a mission to highlight the contributions of black inventors, both past and present, by opening a museum to showcase their work. And he's on the cusp of making it a reality. James Howard is in the studio with me now for more. James, great to meet you. What inspired to set out on this venture to create a museum?
Wow. I would say about 4 years ago, I was sitting in a studio similar to this, except it was virtual. And the producer at the end of that show had asked me, he says, James, you know so much about black inventors and you know so much about history. He says, have you ever thought about opening up a Black Inventors Hall of Fame? And that just sort of marinated for about 3 months. And 3 months later, he and I were both opening up the Black Inventors Hall of Fame.
Be honest in the comments, what is your favorite invention created by a black person?
So you start this nonprofit. Who and what are you looking to highlight? Who are some of the inventors you think the public needs to know about?
Oh, yes. We're going to begin with Eglin. She is a domestic servant from Washington, D.C., who in 1888 designed a clothes wringing device that revolutionized that industry. Problem was, she was afraid to get her name out there. So rather than sign the patent in her name, she gave over the rights to an agent. He went on to make millions on this device. She made $18, right? And when asked 3 years later why she sold her patent for so little, this is what she said. You know I'm black, and if it had been known that a colored woman designed the product, white women would not have purchased it. Eglin, she said that for a short-lived women's innovation magazine. Yeah.
That's powerful, and I must think that there are so many similar stories like that, and more that you've unearthed.
Oh, yes, indeed. The most poignant, in fact, is that of Charles Frederick Page. And Charles Frederick Page was an enslaved man who raised 13 kids, self-taught, right? And yet he was ambitious enough to design an airship and then have the audacity and the passion to try to sell that airship, not necessarily sell it, but try to ship that airship off to the 1904 Louisiana World's Fair.
Wow.
Well, Brianna, unfortunately, it never made it. It was stolen. It was interrupted. And the world has never seen Charles Frederick Page's airship. However, we are, in fact, building and recreating the airship for the museum. So guests will be able to come and see for the first time what this man envisioned, right? The largeness, the grandeur. And he had pawned all of his hopes and dreams into having that airship arrive at the Louisiana World's Fair because it was a competition. And everyone around the world submitted their planes and their airships and everything. Here's never made it. But here's an interesting fact. He acquired his patent 2 years later, exactly 42 days before the Wright brothers attained their patent.
Wow.
Now think about that.
I mean, that is remarkable.
Yeah.
And the way that that changes the course of history, right?
Precisely.
So, I mean, you're a historian also
Yes.
by trade, and a lot of research has to go into this. I know it's looking like you're going to acquire a space in West Orange to be able to put this museum out there for folks.
Yes.
And so what do you want them to know? And what should people know about coming to see this work? I mean, this ingenuity.
I think what I want them to know is that this is a place for everyone, right? To become inspired, to become informed, right? And there's this humanistic quality in all of us that just wants to know how others achieved, right? And at the core of my mission is to influence young, impressionable black kids who will see for the first time that this is a story with Charles Frederick Page, as you mentioned about history. This is a story that no one knows about. And can you imagine that if his dream had not been interrupted, how many more young, impressionable kids may have aspired to be pilots, right? May have aspired to be engineers, and may have aspired to dream big.
James Howard, thank you so much for your inspiration. Thank you for coming in.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you.
This video raises questions, and I need for you to be extremely honest in the comments when answering them. And just so you know, I have 3 questions. Number 1, do you have any plans to visit this museum? Number 2, who would you like for me to do a video on next? And number 3, what are your thoughts about this video? Please share them in the comments. Now please be honest when answering these questions. Share this video with anyone you deem necessary. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.